Red Shoe Diaries references in Eminem confirmed. So we're going to try to keep overt references to a bare minimum, if at all. I was just talking to Hamad about this. It's like, do we... And even little things like in dialogue, I pick up on a thing. I'd be, that's a little too modern, right? For example, and this isn't picking on it, but we talked about it. I was like, there's like talking about, if you happen to get caught on fire because of this event or whatever, stop, drop, and roll, right? And like as soon as I saw, I was like, that's too modern. That's just that may pull people out. But if there's a take on that we can use, and good. So there's inevitably going to be shit that you're going to notice that's a reference to real world or real mythology or real whatever. I think that's acceptable, especially since we're trying to be kind of old school in like a pen and paper tabletop kind of way. There are definitely references and little homages and stuff built in, but we want to make it to our universe as much as possible. WoW went overboard with references for your taste. You gotta realize when I first started playing WoW and was seeing all the references as a fan and a designer, I was so jealous that they got to do all that shit. I was like, oh my god, that's so good. And yeah, but then there's just so much of it. Someone asked how much reference to drugs, alcohol there would be. Don't know if I remember that. I do remember that. And not picking on them at all, but they were very, very like adamant that we couldn't have it. I'm like, it's a high fantasy game based on like classic lore and shit. There's inevitably going to be alcohol references. We've already got alcohol in the game. There'll be alcohol references. There'll be drug references. There'll be in-game drugs. There won't be like a crystal meth factory or something in a corner of town, but there'll be in-game alcohol. Obviously, there will be in-game drugs. We're not going to be silly about it or whatever. There's the lore I was reading. Hamad just sent over stuff for the Rogues Guild, the Rogues faction, and there's some character backgrounds that are pretty dark. There will be allusions to that kind of stuff as well. I mean, we're not making a game for little kids. A wee gnome grinding some pixie dust in his basement. Halflings will have pipes. I think that is a fair point. Deep dwarves are stoned. It's true. VGFX, did the Sarnax have their own drug business going? The TLP Chardock is version 2, right? I know there's an accountant in there and some other bureaucrat, which I thought I added. I didn't think they were in. The hallucinators, harvester, and herb sniffing dogs. And there's an accountant and stuff around the bank. Yeah, I think that was all stuff I added in version 2. So yeah, I guess I have a history of adding drug syndicates to fantasy games. So that answers your question. Because if they weren't in version 1, then that's all stuff I made up in the 2 days that we had to implement that zone. That was a humble brag. So Belfester said, after watching Dune, enjoying it, and the Boba Fett series, do you think there's a place for some pretend underground drug trade, something kidney spice? Yep. Someone pull up the Pony MMORPG. How many drugs were in that? I did nothing with it. I was not allowed near the content for that. Still slowly working on this, fixing this quest. Honestly, it's hard to see. There's a spice merchant right there. I've already added a spice merchant. You should have guards occasionally roll up on the shifty gnome, pat them down, look for contraband. There'll also be different people rolling around, patting people down and shaking people down. And oh man, I can't wait to get cranking on some of the new stuff that just came in. We'll spend some time with Ham talking through some of it and work on getting some of that stuff implemented on top of the class quest stuff that we're doing right now. Will there be brothels? I don't know if there will be any actual active brothels. Maybe. There will definitely be references to brothels. Have one of the guards act like Vic Mackey from The Shield. Guard Mackey. So there may be a reference to something like that, right? But again, trying not to be super overt. You'll need a fence to sell contraband items. We have a fence that is going in shortly. I was just transcribing his information from the new write-up that Ham did. We definitely have a fence. And so it's interesting because the way our merchants work, it'll actually be helpful because like if I try to sell certain types of items to certain types of merchants, they just won't buy them. They're not into it. And yeah, we may iterate on the system later and have it give you a little bit more information where there's a chance where if I go to this guy and I try to sell him like some cloth pants, which these are. Oh no, these are rawhide leggings. What am I wearing? What do these look like? Oh, okay. then he may tell you like what type of merchant, or say like, hey, you know, maybe someone that buys cloths would like that or whatever. Or he may say merchant so-and-so may like that. Maybe that merchant would be interested in clothes because he's naked. I see what you're saying. Let's fix that. Let's see if we can fix it. First aid trainer. Here, we'll do this. ID name, like so. Come here, boom, repop. Cool. Now he looks a lot less weird, but also still pretty generic.